Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First and foremost, welcome to Planet Mahir free talk show. We have this every once in a while when we have guests in our office. Today we are very lucky. We have the newly appointed COO of TERAJU, Cik Junadi. We have my co-partner, co-founder of TERAJU with us, who is now the Senior Director of Corporate Services in TERAJU, Puan Faaz. Then we also have the Director of Strategic Planning of TERAJU, Cik Nik Nazri. Right, welcome to Planet Mahir.
Terima kasih Dato' Husni. It is our pleasure dan kami berasa amat besar hati dan bergembira dapat bersama-sama dengan Dato', dapat jemputan daripada Dato' untuk bersama-sama berkongsi sedikit sebanyak tentang apakah yang aktiviti-aktiviti yang kami jalankan di TERAJU selama ini yang mungkin dapat menarik minat para warga Planet Mahir yang sedia ada dan berjaya mendapat menarik lagi lebih ramai lagi pengunjung dan juga peminat dan juga pengikut Planet Mahir.
Terima kasih. Hari ini hari Ahad, kita santai-santai. That's why this is a week off, weekend for all of us, so kita can spend a bit more time nak discuss balik apa cerita. I mean, I had the pleasure and the opportunity to start up a unit in the Prime Minister Department TERAJU masa tu to become one of the driving force, I think the major driving force dalam menerajui Bumi Putera Agenda since 2011. It has been 5 years since I left the organisation. I think now my co-founder Puan Faaz, she's still there. Since day I think almost since day one, she's still there, and she can tell you what has the transformation been in TERAJU itself for the last. And we also have Junadi, but Cik Junadi was actually one of the key directors in TERAJU masa tu during my time when I was CEO. Now he has taken over, and congratulations to you, Media J. And then Nik Nazri was also, you know, we've been involved since day one. We did the lab masa tu dekat apa nama PWTC. When we started TERAJU, we wanted to craft something and, you know, curate something for Bumi Putera at the time, kan? So Nik Nazri played he became moderator in one of the sessions in our ni. So every one of us has got at least kata 10 years experience around it in Bumi Putera Agenda, right? I think this is a very lucky day for us to have all of them in one studio with us. Of course, Planet Mahir now, I co-founded this back in 2019 after I left TERAJU, and I wanted to be the educational media company where we have a lot of, you know, serious education content that is more progressive. That's not limited to what you learn in school. Here we can do quite a lot of things. Now we've got 1,000 students with us. We've got 120 instructors, including I think probably about 10-15 tutors that we have now. And we also have the most complete tutorial program for secondary school. We have one from the standard from Form 1 until Form 6, all syllabus, all subjects, all on pre-recorded basis, that you can watch it anytime, anywhere you like to learn. I mean, of course, behind it we track their movement, what they do and stuff like that. So I think it's just a time today to share your experience. Jay, let me start with you. When you were with me back in TERAJU and you are now taking the lead in TERAJU now, what is your, you know, kind of, you know, motivation and also your kata you know, your goals now? What is it? Can you tell me a few things that you need to do and what your expectation is?
Thank you, Dato'. I think just to take a step back,
sure.
When I joined TERAJU in 2014, masa tu TERAJU was probably in its third year of existence, having founded by you and also Puan Faaz. And masa tu it came to my impression was TERAJU had reached a certain landing, and it was a case of where does it go from there. And I became part of that cohort that was intended to take it further. And that experience between 2014 and up to the point I left TERAJU sementara dalam tahun 2021, and I think banyak pengalaman and pemerhatian that I was able to experience, and what I can share to the
Audience.
muda-mudi dan audience dan para penonton dan juga para peminat dan pengikut Planet Mahir, the pengalaman di Teraju ni you cannot get anywhere else. You're able to see the entire spectrum of development of the Bumi Putra, daripada micro hingga ke macro, daripada startup sehingga ke investable dan investment. So segala segmen dan segala pilar yang wujud daripada penggunaan modal insan, keusahawanan, equity dan sebagainya dapat diperhatikan dan dapat dialami di Teraju. And then saya juga dapat pengalaman keluar dari Teraju selama 2 tahun dan datang balik ke Teraju setelah terlibat dalam satu sektor yang lain, satu industri yang berlainan, tapi namun isu-isu dia sama juga. Dan dapat juga menimba pengalaman di mana saya dapat menggunakan pengalaman tersebut untuk diguna pakai setelah saya kembali ke Teraju. So now I've come back to Teraju, and what I intend to do is take it forward, kan, together with the team yang memang dah lama dah we've known each other for a long time, and we work together and we have achieved some kind of chemistry with each other. And when I intend to use that to take Teraju further.
Okay, in your Neil, I just want one question. What is the biggest achievement during the time when we had Teraju until you came back, okay, as the CEO of the Teraju?
I think the biggest achievement that I can say as a whole, as a Teraju collectively, would be the deployment of more than probably like 20 billion in value of activities, programs and investments. So dalam pelbagai bentuk program yang saya sebutkan tadi dalam bentuk pembiayaan, perniagaan, penyelidikan equity dan sebagainya. So this is the size of the funds that has been allocated and the value that has been created daripada situ. Itulah kalau saya nak kata secara keseluruhan dari segi pencapaian di Teraju ni, I cannot identify one one specific item, but I think as a whole, collectively, that's what we can capture it as lah.
Puan Faz, I think we went through quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Until you outlast me for more than 5 years. 5 years now. I left earlier, and I think maybe in your own word, you describe your experience, having also confounded Teraju with me back then, and what you see, apa benda yang you rasa that we've done, and how I'm sure you've been here, you're so passionate about it as well. You're understanding what exactly is Bumi Putra agenda. So maybe in your own word, you can tell this.
Okay. When you called me to co-found Teraju, at that point of time, sebagai seorang rakyat Malaysia, kita selalu question. Setiap kali bila government buat decision ataupun whatever they introduce initiatives, policies, sebagai rakyat kita akan question, why not you do it this way, why not you do it that way. But after being in the system, then I realise it's not as simple as it is. Kalau kita tengok dekat social media, ramai orang komen, oh patut buat macam ni, patut buat macam tu. But bila dah masuk dalam sistem, kita barulah saya tahu there are many factors that we have to take into consideration as a policy maker. So Teraju, alhamdulillah, thank you to allow me to be part of this journey. Sebabnya dia bukan setakat melengkapkan pengalaman saya sebagai seorang profesional. Because when you called me, saya dah bekerja dalam syarikat yang stable. Saya juga pernah ditugaskan untuk menutup syarikat. But when you called me to set up a company, I think it's a complete work experience altogether, and it's like Encik Junadi mentioned, satu pengalaman yang kita tak boleh dapat daripada tempat lain. Dan Teraju bukan setakat melengkapkan macam saya mention tadi pengalaman saya sebagai seorang profesional, tapi dia juga telah mengubah saya dari segi spiritual. Because perspektif, bila kita dalam that circle, we see things from a different angle. Bukan setakat dari segi komersial, bukan setakat dari segi duniawi, tapi all aspects. Sebagai Bumi Putra, sebagai Melayu dan sebagai seorang Islam.
I can tell you this knowing for us from day one I met her, I think she's probably turned 165 degrees around.
It is true. Masa saya masuk dulu,
Yeah.
Masa-
Oh yeah.
my appearance was
one
very-
sexy thing there.
Would that be on record?
and now I'm a different person. So I think
Yeah.
Teraju has impacted me to a certain extent in a positive way.
Good. Nick Nazri. Nick, as I said, he was part of Pemandu team that we hired to manage our lab. In fact, the first lab, we were only about 3-4 people in Teraju at the time, right?
Betul.
And when we wanted to do a lab of 2 weeks lab in PWTC, I think it was the biggest lab was held in PWTC. We took the entire, how many floors?
2 floors.
2 floors to do this. He was one of the guys who came up with the framework and all that. So Nick, you want to share your experience on Teraju?
Thanks, Dato'. I think, first of all, thank you for the opportunity, definitely, to be part of the inception of TERAJU as a whole. And also, I think we were very happy to share the implementation model of what Pemandu did, and then nampak hasil tu digunakan oleh agensi such as TERAJU, Alhamdulillah. And I hope that has actually, benefited TERAJU as a whole. Being outside and now being in, I think Dato', if you can recall, we had a chat back in 2017. I think at that point of time, pintu dah terbuka tapi tak terbuka sepenuhnya to be part of the TERAJU ecosystem. But nonetheless, I think when I joined in 2020, I have seen the success stories from where we have talked all the way from 2011 until where we are in 2020 at a point of time. But I think TERAJU can definitely do more. Right, and do more in the sense that bukan hanya sekadar agensi yang kita menaju agenda putra, but we also need to be an agency that withstand any potential shocks in the system, whether it's economically, whether it's socially, or even politically for that matter. So I think moving forward is that we to be doing more, we need to be an agency that to be able to fulfill all these requirements and eventually insyaAllah to propel Bumputra to the next level.
Thanks. Jay, I come back to you, Jay. Having taken over TERAJU, different environment. Masa I set up TERAJU back in 2011, we were different. Okay, kita tak ada COVID-19 masa tu. Now you take over after post COVID-19. Banyak benda yang kita buat during that time before COVID ni, I think because of the economic issues and health issues, and I think it's affected everyone unprecedentedly lah. Sekarang ni you taking at perhaps one of the lowest point in terms of the economic punya status now. That's satu. Keduanya, of course, it's a different government today.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, as part of the there's probably changes in terms of direction. We're going to take Bumputra agenda and all that. But having TERAJU still been a driving force in the government to take the Bumputra agenda forward, I believe they are still relevant in today's punya ni. Satu. Yang ketiganya, I think in terms of your own, you having been in the time when I was around, you were in the time when there was a transition and you left for a bit and then you come back in to pick up the whatever's left by the two predecessors that you have. Now, how are you going to take this forward?
Okay, Dok. Again, I always start from a little bit of the history and legacy lah kan.
Sure.
When I would say I was in TERAJU under you at the point when you had set up the foundation and the infrastructure. So that was one landing that we worked on, and then from there we went further. We experienced changes of government. It was the first time ever, and masa tu I think the entire system was in a state of shock, to be honest, because tak pernah lagi ada perubahan atau peralihan kerajaan lah, and so everybody wasn't sure what was going to happen. But slowly, kita sebagai organisasi masa tu, at the helm was, in your absence, masa tu was Puan Faaz dengan Cik Megat lah. I think slowly we pick ourselves up and gathered balik our thoughts and figured that what should we do, as an organisation, regardless of where the mandate, where the direction was going to be, was going to point us towards. So as an organisation, we felt that masa itu 2018, we had gone since 7 years prior. We had a history in terms of capabilities, competencies and experiences going back 7 years. Dan pelbagai macam-macam program yang kita dah jalankan. That was when we figured, okay, now is a good time to do a stock take and review what we done before. And we are to propose new things. This is the best time. This was around 2018, 2019. That was been the best time to do it lah. So we took that time, that window of 1 year or so to do that stock take and review. And kita cari jalan macam mana nak memperbaharui dan menambah baik, and also to innovate for the future. And in 2020, I think the traction for the Bumi Putera agenda started to pick up balik, and started to pick up balik slowly. And then the idea of satu majlis yang menerajui agenda Bumi Putera ni, that basically comes from the Majlis Ekonomi Bumi Putera that was earlier set up under your watch in the first place. So that was being reactivated in 2020 towards 2021, and leading up to the development of a new buku hala 7, kan, yang eventually was known as the Tindakan Pembangunan Bumi Putera 2030, which is basically penerangkuman all the pronouncements, buku-buku hala 7 yang pernah wujud berkenaan dengan Bumi Putera ni sejak tahun 1965, daripada Kongres Bumi Putera yang pertama yang diadakan. So all that was rolled into one document under the TPB 2030. So that was, I would say, that had reached a new platform lah, a new landing, and then to be taken off further after the launch at the end of 2021, which so happens I saw that as a good sort of a high, a new high, and at which point an opportunity to explore another sector, another agency came along my way. So I grabbed that opportunity to have new experience dan sebagainya. And 2 years later, I've received an offer to come back to head up TERAJU pula. And I saw that basically the last 2 years is a case of going through that revisiting process again. Now that we are under another government, a new government. But macam Cik Nick sebut tadi lah, what we plan to do now going forward is to ensure that TERAJU as an organisation is solidified and become formidable enough so that it can withstand any shock, any change. Sebab pada kami lah, Bumi Putera agenda ni satu agenda yang apa orang putih kata dalam istilah bahasa Inggeris is sacred. It should not be, is entrenched in the constitution, and it represents the interest of the majority of our country. And that is something that should not be toyed with. And it has to have a direction or roadmap and an agency that champions it, that can withstand any shock, economic, social or political. That is the plan going forward for TERAJU.
I wish you all the best.
Yes.
You have got a good team.
Yes.
But for us, know the history quite well. I think he's been in Pemandu now. He's heading the strategic unit.
Yeah.
I think he's got a good team.
And we have the blend of skills and competencies.
Right. You have experience behind you.
Experience.
You have all the programs that have been developed. You learn from those programs, the do's and don'ts and all that, kan? So I think moving forward. No, but for us, I want to ask you. I still wanted to go back to you. What is the high point and low point? Having been how many years in TERAJU?
12 years.
12 years
Close
in TERAJU.
Coming February, coming January will be 13 years.
Oh wow.
Next year.
Wow. Okay, so what's your high point and low point?
High point, I must say sebelum 2018. At that point of time, masa kita mula-mula nak set up tu, I think we have done quite a lot. The satisfaction was there sebabnya daripada nothing, I think we've introduced many documents daripada BETR 1.0 kepada BETR 2.0 and then TPB 2030. So I think that's the high points. The low points, after 2018, TERAJU to a certain extent because of change in terms of mandate or direction of the country at that point of time, TERAJU kena tak ke depan sangat. So that's, I suppose kita boleh gunakan masa tu for reflection.
Okay.
Tapi I wish moving forward I think we could have done a lot more.
Sure.
And another thing I think yang kita kena appreciate, walaupun there's change in terms of leadership daripada 2018 tu ada few, TERAJU masih kekal dekat tempat dia tanpa sebarang krisis, sebarang isu. So meaning to say that in the past we have done a lot in terms of making sure that kita promote good governance and practices.
I think that's key lah. I think if we want to show that we are the ones to copy, all right? I mean, we have if you talk about governance is an issue with many private companies, multinational companies and all that.
Betul.
Talking about ketirisan, talking about all this rent seeking or whatever and all that. We trying to maneuver and set a good example for many to follow. I think that's what happened, right?
Yes,
How many
betul.
years we have not even one case as that becomes a
Betul. Tak ada issues, tak ada krisis
Nothing.
yang kita kena tangani.
Betul. I agree. That was it. So Nick, coming back to you. So strategically, Nick, I mean, given the economy, we are in the challenging environment today. Given the fact that many of our champions that we supported before have actually maybe fallen to victims economically and all that, and given the fact that now we have even a bigger global crisis now, a Palestinian probably impending war somewhere. What do you think? How do we then bring the Bumiputera agenda in a way that can benefit kita punya community in the shortest period as possible?
Yeah, interesting question, Dato', because actually currently, as what Mr. J was saying just now, we're taking this time to actually do a lot of stock taking, looking at the perspective of globally, regionally, and also local scenario. So for example, globally, there's a lot of factors we can anchor on: mega trends, technological breakthroughs, shifting of economic powers. Aging nation is also a problem, kan? So there's a lot of opportunity there. Regionally, we see the rise of new capital for Indonesia, for example, Nusantara. China as a new economic power also is a factor. And of course, locally, we cannot leave behind the political scenario also lah. How that is also plays a big role in where TERAJU can support. I think this is where I personally see as opportunities rather than threats. So looking at the strengths that we have internally, as what Puan Faaz and Mr. J was saying, that we have a very strong team, diverse team, looking at not only from the perspective of the small players, all the way until public listed companies and the bigger boys. We have a lot of experience in facilitation, whether it's financing or even non-financing, advisory, and also consultancy for that matter. So these are some of the small opportunities that can grow big when we map against all these scenarios, whether it's internationally and also locally. Right. So we are in the process of actually remapping and revamping our offerings, whether our products in the form of financing or whether in the form of facilitation. And moving forward, I think as what Mr. J just mentioned also earlier before the session started, there's a lot of opportunities in our regions, whether the state of Sabah or the region of Sabah or region of Sarawak for that matter. There's a lot of opportunities we can actually partner with our fellow state members and also to support them in terms of programs that can be implemented at the state level, where we have successfully done at Semenanjung Malaysia, for example. Right. So these are some of the areas that we should be focusing on. Again, we cannot be boiling the ocean, hence we need to be specific in terms of the sectors, in terms of the facilitation where to go into, and then insyaAllah, with that into mind, and of course with a lot of support from our stakeholders, i.e. Kementerian Ekonomi or even the government of the day, we can take it further, insyaAllah. That's good.
I think this time around, we really got a big focus area that we wanted to champion, right? Yeah. Because I think resources are also quite limited these days. Yeah. I think the government is also quite, concerned about how we can spend and what the results of it. I think the expectation is so much higher today, given the little resources that we have. I think this is where, Jay, I think I wish you really all the best in your new role as the champion of this. I'm sure that you're going to be facing a lot of challenges moving ahead. A lot of criticism, like what I used to get before. They used to call me, harimau tak ada taring, harimau tak ada gigi. They call me dalam bahasa Teraju macam kura-kura. That kind of thing. But again, like I said, things is you got to give runway for things to happen. Things don't really come out, and if you were to follow everyone's interest and whatever not that, and they have their own self interest in Bumi Putra agenda, but we must pick things to champion. I think picking Bumi Putra agenda based on my experience, you cannot just simply look at one particular sector. Macam a lot of people talk about entrepreneurship. A lot of people talk about how government contract, how do you dish it out, how do you it's a lot, it's never ending talk and stories about that, and I know the government has done a lot on that. Cumanya, I think we really need to focus on pick the right champion, because not everybody can do things. They just become rent seekers, they manipulate things and stuff like that. I mean, people do that all the time, right? That's number one. Number two is that, go back to the basic. My suggestion is that look into the income level, because that what touch, almost everybody. Because right now we have a lot of challenges regard to the stagnant kind of basis. The income, the real income hasn't actually gone up as much. The cost of living now is getting so much higher than before, and the supplies are getting more irregular. You're talking about krisis beras, krisis ayam, krisis macam-macam krisis, and these are all because you're talking about, some could be manipulation by all the big boys, so you need to start look into the value chain or where they are, and not just in the commodity part of it, but also you need to look into the new areas, how to move forward. Halal, there's a global market. Go global, rather than just looking into the 35 million local population over here, but go global. And I think based on you need to infuse the Islamic values into things, because that caters more to a lot of majority, and we need to be we talk about Kerajaan Madani, being balanced between whatever not that, but you need to also look into the balancing aspect of it, which is what is the Islamic initiative in the economic part of it that can benefit the general ummah. How do we reduce the issues of cost of living and stuff like that. Right? I think there's a whole lot. We talked about wakaf before. We talk about how we can. So I think things need to be explored more. And this is my suggestion. You are being the implementer. I'm in the independent backbencher right now. But inshallah, I will support you a long way.
Thank you.
Whichever that you need. I'm in the private sector right now, driving a little company called Planet Mahir. We have a big heart in terms of education, because that's a pillar of everything that comes. I think we want to be the forefront in terms of those online VR, AI kind of things that we can move faster than the legacy, because we're creating a new platform online. And I think here I need your advice. What do we do as a company like us, as a 4-year startup, heavily in creating content in education? We have studios that we have right now. We can stream live. We can do a lot of programs. We have done also tuitions, and we also spread it out and across the nation right now. And where do you think we should go forward? And how, we are Bumi Putra company, but I want to go global too with this, right? So what is your advice to us?
You mentioned 2 words which I think are the key words there, Dato'. One is startup, which gives you a whole ocean to go into. You're at the stage where you still remain very nimble, very flexible, and very agile enough to be able to move into any direction. Sure. The next word is content. Now, content is the future. It's all about content now. You're talking about social media content, talking about production content, whether it's cinematic, animation, audio or video. Right. So content is how should I say, the next cyberspace that any startup should go into. And I believe this is part of your content creation and collection as well. What we are doing here. There's a lot, because
I ambush you guys.
And content is something, to me at least, is something that can be monetized. and repackaged in whatever form to be able to be sold and be able to contribute towards your revenue and growth. So it's all about content development, and from content also comes product, branding, and everything related to it. Kan? So-
Faiz, corporate services. There's a lot of things we do. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Talking about governance tu memanglah kan. But I think most important thing is that your approach must be progressive. Yes, the target audience probably memang syarikat Bumi Putra. Talking about education, probably your focus would be Bumi Putra. But I think the approach must be done in a progressive manner. Maknanya the content tu kita kena buka the mindset of your audience tu bukan setakat dalam lingkup dalam Bumi Putra. Dia kena keluar daripada the norm. Corporate.
It's a case of not just focusing on the Bumi Putra to move the economy, but at the same time being able to use your vehicle to move the economy to benefit the Bumi Putra.
Great. Nick, your strategic guy. What strategy should we employ now?
I think Dato, you are starting on a very right track, which is starting on education. Nonetheless, going digital is definitely the way forward. Definitely, global is a target to be achieved, but maybe you can start number one, regional content dulu lah. Meaning that you go into our fellow neighbours. You know, Indonesia speaks almost the same language as us. Leverage on countries like Brunei and things like that. So new market areas that definitely you can easily enter into, and then maybe the next step. Nonetheless, and education is important, but entertainment is huge.
Right.
So, you know, we have success stories from the Skopas and Upin Ipin in Indonesia, for example. Right. So, moving into that realm also is definitely a go, because there's a lot of us that actually really go into, you know, digital content based on entertainment also. Right. So, start education, Alhamdulillah, Fardu Kifayah, but moving into entertainment is something definitely a bigger portion.
Yeah.
If I may add,
Sure.
When we started TERAJU, our first mandate was to change the mindset of Bumi Putra. So I really hope with Planet Mahir, talking about content development, talking about education, I hope this platform can be used effectively to change the mindset of the younger generation of Bumi Putra.
Certainly. I mean, this is. I mean, we have got media. We are like a little TV channel down here. I have the full control of what we air and how we air it. I think what most important is that I want to, to invite. I mean, each one of you once a while to get here to bring in your thoughts and leadership thoughts or how you move forward. How do you, how do you change the mindset of the people? All right. I think this is what we need to have. In fact, we can have a really open discussion about what we put over here. I think it's interesting.
Let's make this a series of how should I say,
topic of discussion.
Discourse.
Yeah. And also, we are a small company. Any contribution from TERAJU will help. So I think this is. Let's make it. I have this facility now. I know what the background is. I know what the challenges we face. I think we'll just move forward if we can actually do a little bit of a kind of collaboration over here. And how do you move forward? Benefit both of agenda of Bumi Putra in using TERAJU and also private sector like us in the media sector. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. I push you guys over here. And this is on Sunday. Okay, Sunday open pula 29 lah.
I think the next chapter of this discourse, the series of discourse, we can come dress more appropriately.
Yeah.
So sambil tu, meanwhile, follow us on TERAJU Official on IG and FB, and please share, please like, and please tag. Thank you. Together we build up the community, we build up the network for the Bumi Putra.
All right, thanks Jay. Thanks Faiz. Thanks Nick.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon. All right, thank you guys.
All right.
Bye.